Hey, it's Mike with Pleasant Places. Just wanted to show you some of our raised beds. We try to do things on a budget. This is not my full-time job. You know, I'm a software engineer and we do this more as a hobby, but it provides food for us and our friends and family. So we can't invest a ton of time in these big raised beds with good rich topsoil. I mean, this would cost thousands of dollars if we had, you know, bought good organic topsoil and made these out of some longer lasting materials. But these raised beds are great for our purposes. They were made by our buddy Jason at Sow the Land. It's made out of cedar, and then he did some things to kind of preserve that cedar a little bit longer. We have not used these yet. We actually had them built for us last year, and just through life circumstances we were unable to use them. So this year we're filling them, and we're going to use them mainly as our kitchen garden. This is right next to our house, so we come right out our door and my wife will have a lot of lettuce and carrots, and we've got garlic over there that we're going to plant in these raised beds. So what we've done to fill these is, you know, once again on a budget. So the bottom third is partially decomposed wood chips. We use that as filler along with some branches and things like that. That's the hugelkultur method of building beds. And then we've got a nice third of that. The third above that is some composted cow manure from our dairy cows. And then the top is a more composted, there's still a lot of big chunks, but wood chips that have been composted a little more completely. There's a little bit of chicken manure mixed in with that, where we put our chickens on a deep bed of mulch on our garden spots, and then they manure and whatnot to help break down that wood chips. So I've got these two beds that I filled last night. That bed over there we filled a month and a half ago, and then planted some garlic in it. You can see I had actually filled that bed all the way to the top, knowing that it was going to settle, and it settled probably 2.5–3 inches since I filled it. These three beds here had wood chips and the cow manure on it for a couple months, and then now we're just topping it off with this better soil. We don't have a lot of good soil on our property. In fact, I've got another video on that. So this is what we're going to use. We're going to use these partially decomposed wood chips to the best of our ability. And then over time, you know, the soil will just get better and better in these beds. And then as we improve our garden and compost more, we can rob our garden of a little bit of that good soil and put it here. In fact, we're going to do a little bit of that today. So I'm going to fill these beds, and then we may get to planting here in the next day or two. So this is some wood chips that I've already robbed from our area where we have the chickens, and I'll just use it to top off the soil. Time to go get more soil. Okay, so this load of wood chips is a little more broken down, though it's still got some pretty big chunks. This came from an area just off camera where it's a good 12 to 16 inch layer of wood chips, and we have a lot of moisture that kind of hangs out in that area, so they've broken down more. But we also have the trucks that deliver the wood chips drive through this area, so that has actually helped grind this down a little bit, and it is definitely, other than big chunks, it's definitely broken down a lot more than some other areas. Now this will still be kind of hard to seed in because there's so many big chunks, so what we'll probably do is buy a bag of potting soil and use that as a thin layer on top that's easier to plant in, because this can be difficult to, you know, put a little furrow in, or because you're going to be hitting sticks and whatnot. So we'll probably do that on these beds after it settles a little bit, and then pick out some of the bigger sticks and whatnot. Okay, so this is definitely not ideal. There are a lot of big chunks of wood in here still, but it's what I have on hand, and it's what I can do on a budget. So, you know, we'll do the best we can, add a thin layer of true, finer potting soil on here, and just see what happens. You know, if we're really struggling to grow stuff in this wood chips, we can always do potatoes or something in it, and which would do well in this particular bed. So another thing that I could have done, and I've done this before, it's just very time consuming, is you take this soil, and I built a sifter at a hardware cloth, and you sift it. But I mean, it takes forever. It's not worth my time, and that's part of the issue with, you know, having a garden or having a farm, is spending your time versus spending your money. You know, and results, and balancing that with the results. Do the results justify the time? Do the results justify the money? So for here, I don't think on the scale that we're at, it justifies the money to use proper soil in these particular beds. What we do have is time. So I don't expect a lot out of these this year, but you know, we'll see. So what I'm going to do now is just pick out some of the bigger stuff and let it settle, and then put some finer soil on it, and then we'll start the planting. Okay, so if you're interested in following along and see how this does, knowing that, you know, it's not going to be a huge success, but is it worth the time and effort with the partially decomposed wood chips, you know, please like and subscribe. We'll be sure to post a follow-up video. See you later.